Today, we're going to go through how you can build an AI agent that can research companies for you in bulk in Make.com. So the use case for something like this is, let's say you had a list of different startups that you wanted to research and you wanted to extract their company name, a description of the company, features, as well as the pricing. And you could use this data for a lot of things, right? It might just be for your internal competitive intelligence, or it might be to reach out to these startups individually in a cold email campaign. It could be sort of any of those things, but doing company research is a very common thing in a lot of businesses. So I'm going to show you how you can automate a process like this. Now, what we're going to use for this is one, Make.com. So Make.com is a workflow automation tool. It lets us connect lots of different SaaS software tools together. Two, we're going to use Dumpling AI as our AI agent. So what we're going to use Dumpling AI for is to build an agent that can scrape different company websites, and not just scrape the website, but actually sort of go deeper into individual websites, right? So I'm just on Product Hunt here, just to get some examples of websites that we can scrape. So if I click into the one, we've got Softer.io. If I just put in Softer.io into most scraping tools, it will just scrape the homepage, which is good for a lot of things. But let's say I wanted the pricing, right? That's not on the home. And you would then need to go to the pricing page and find that URL. And in some cases, you can sort of just assume it's always at /pricing, but that's not always the case, right? Like sometimes it's not a /pricing. Sometimes they have pricing that's geo-specific, or they've just put it in a different URL for one reason or another. And maybe their features are on a different page. Like it sort of differs depending on the site you're scraping, right? So having an AI agent that can intelligently determine where the information you want is and automatically go to that page will save you a lot of time in terms of building a AI automation. Because if you were to do it manually, you would just have so many endless branches of logic, which is fine. But yeah, if you want a more flexible solution, an AI agent will generally work. Now, it's obviously a balance because AI agents are still a relatively new technology. So there are cases where AI agents will fail and they're sort of a lot less reliable in some use cases. So definitely worth testing, but also definitely a tool that you should learn about so that as AI agents improve, you can start to use them more and that sort of stuff. So to begin with, what I want to do is actually just type in some of the URLs that we might scrape. So we've got Softer.io that I just opened. Let's pick another one. So capco.ai, let's write that in. But also we have Avery. What's this? Avery.ai. Just have some test data for us, right? And for here, I've just typed in some of the columns that I'm interested in. Obviously, depending on what you might want something else, right? Maybe you want their blog posts. So it really depends on what you want. And what you want will sort of determine the prompt you use when you create your agent. So in Dumpling AI, once you sign up, you're going to see this page. We're going to need to create a company research agent. So go to the agents page, press new AI agent, and you can start creating your agent. So company research agent, researches companies. Here you can sort of start to type in your prompt. Now, typing in a good prompt takes a lot of time. So what I like to use is this generate feature, and it gives you a really strong first draft for your prompt, which you can then sort of review and tweak as you go. So what I'm going to say is you are a company researcher. The user will give you a URL and you will then go to the website and find information on the company name. I'm just putting in the columns that I had before, features, pricing. You may need to browse multiple pages. Okay, something pretty simple. And I'll press generate. And what Dumpling AI will do is turn my rough prompt into something a lot more detailed, which is critical for things like this, right? So if I look at my prompt now, you can see it's way better than what I had before. So it's a lot more structured, a lot more detailed. It's got sort of steps that the AI agent can follow, and it's also got output format. And this is actually really good because I'm going to be using this AI agent in Make.com. So having it output JSON is actually super helpful for me. Now, you will probably still need to tweak what you want here. So I'm going to have a quick look. Yeah, accuracy over completeness, that looks good. We don't actually want these JSON wrapping tags for now, mainly because I just want to feed it directly into Make.com without further processing. So I'm just going to remove these. Yeah, this all looks pretty good actually. So I'm going to leave that as is. So I have the agent now. It's got the instructions, but the agent right now is just basically a chatbot, right? It doesn't have any tools to actually visit websites. So what you need to do is give it the ability to visit websites. I'm going to give it the scrape URL tool. So I'm just going to add that tool. And once that's added, it's saved itself. Now I can sort of start testing it out, right? So let's paste in an example. So let's say we give it Softer. Paste it in here and see how the agent does. So you'll see that it's calling the tool. It's trying to scrape Softer.io. Didn't work the first time without JavaScript. So now it's trying to scrape it with JavaScript rendering. And that's just to do with like a lot of the scraping detail. So that's another good thing about using agents, right? If you're scraping more in a more like workflow manner, You would need to determine upfront whether you're using JavaScript rendering or not. But if you're using an agent, the agent will sort of just test things itself. And let's see what it's done. So first time it scraped without JavaScript, then it scraped it with JavaScript, maybe because it found that information was missing without JavaScript. And then it looks like it scraped the pricing page. So it's done 3 scrapes and it's pulled out all of this information now. Let's quickly look. So 49,139,269 was the pricing. So it's not on this page, it was on the pricing page. Let's have a look. 49,139,269. The AI agent's done a really good job there, and it's actually returned it all as JSON, which is perfect. So I'm going to remove these tags, as I said before, mainly just because we're going to use it in make.com, but it looks like the agent is working. So from here, like there's a couple of things you could do, right? So if you only wanted an agent or a chatbot that you wanted to use every so often, then you can just share it, turn it into like only me, anyone with a link, and you have a link now. You can sort of add it to your favorites or your bookmarks, and you can use this agent whenever you want. But if you wanted to do company research at scale, then you actually need to be able to feed in multiple URLs into this agent, right? And that's sort of where a tool like make.com comes in. And this is also where our spreadsheet comes in, right? So what we need to do is take all of these URLs, feed it into the AI agent one at a time. The AI agent sort of responds with what it finds on these 4 columns, and we just need to insert it back into the spreadsheet. So conceptually, not super difficult. The AI agent does a lot of that heavy lifting around browsing the website that we're scraping. So all we need to do is really get the URL, feed it into the agent, get the output, and write it back into the spreadsheet. So that's all pretty straightforward to do in make.com, but we'll go through it step by step. Step 1 is we want to get the data out of the Google Sheets. So Google Sheets, they have a search rows functionality. So I'm going to use that. So what you need to do first is connect the module with the spreadsheet that you've set up. So spreadsheet ID, company researcher agent, then the sheet name is just sheet 1. I think everything else is just default. I haven't really changed anything. And then here is sort of like how many results you want from your search. I only have 3 examples in the spreadsheet so far, so I'm just going to put 3. Obviously, you might have 100 companies you're researching, then you would need to increase this number. I would recommend actually starting with a low number, something like 1 to 3 as you're building your app, mainly because as you're building, you're going to be testing as you build, right? So if you put in 100 from the get-go, then every time you test, you have to wait for it to research 100 companies. And that one takes heaps long, but also will use a lot of your credits within Dumpling AI, as well as your operations within make.com. So just to show you, I'm going to use 1. So if I press 1 and I run this automation now, I'll just pull in the first row. So I've got software. Now what I need to do is pass this into the Dumpling AI agent, right? So here, what I need to do is pull in Dumpling AI. There is a agent module, so generate AI agent completion. You will need to sort of set up your Dumpling AI module if you haven't done so already. Very simple, just go Dumpling AI and generate your own API key. And to use the agent, you need the agent ID. So if you come back here, there is an agent ID here. So you're just going to copy that, come back here, paste in the agent ID. Then what I want to do here is, this is very similar to any large language model completion in make.com. You set the role and then you put in the content, right? So I'm just going to say I'm the user and I'm just going to feed in the URL that I got from Google Sheets, right? So let's just quickly test what we've done so far. We've called in Softer from Google Sheets here, and then we feed softer.io into Dumpling AI agent that we made previously. And then it will sort of browse the website, do what it did before. So it's probably going to take a little while because it's visiting multiple pages and that sort of stuff. And then it should respond in a JSON format. So let's give it a little bit of time, depending on like what it's scraping. Can't explain. Anyway, so it's come back now. Let's have a look at what it's come back with. Yeah, so it's come back with basically what it came back with last time. It's got the features, description, pricing, all that sort of stuff, right? Now, what we need to do is then write this to Google Sheets. Now, first of all, we need it. This is in JSON, but you can see it's wrapped in these 3 JSON backtick wrapping thing. So we need to remove those so that we only have the actual JSON. So what we need to do is, so there's 2 ways you can do this. You can use a large language model, a very cheap, just to use the cheapest model you have, and it can sort of just extract the JSON for you automatically. Or you can use JSON parser to parse the JSON. Or actually, I just saw this new module, which what does this do? So what I'm going to do here is show you the lazy way, which is just to use the cheapest model you can find. So if I just go to ChatGPT, I'm going to use create completion, and I'm going to use the cheapest model, which is 4.0 mini. So this is going to cost like not even a cent. So it's going to be easy for this tutorial. If you wanted to save money, then definitely use the JSON parser. So here I'm going to put in a very simple prompt. I'm just going to say extract the JSON from them to feed in what Dumpling AI agent returns. Then down here, I'm going to say I want the response to be in JSON format and I want it to parse the JSON. Cool. So now I just need to close this and then run it again from the beginning, and this should respond on the JSON. Final step here is really just to write back into the Google Sheet. What we're going to do is wait for this to run, and then there's going to be another Google Sheet module where we just update each row as it runs, and it will just update the data back into the Google Sheet. Cool. So this example is pretty basic. It's just a single agent. If you wanted it to be a bit more complex, I didn't provide an API key. Rookie mistake. For some reason my API key seems to have expired. Okay, I'm not going to go set up the API key. I'm just going to quickly show you how to actually connect the Google Sheet so you can do it yourself. So what you need to do is update a row. Again, feed in your spreadsheet that you're using. So it's Dem Company Researcher. And then what you're going to do is select the sheet. And then for the row that you want to update, just use the row that you've got from search. And then the URL is unchanged. And then for company name, description, features, pricing, just feed in the data that you're getting out of your ChatGPT, GPT-4 mini completion here. Cool. And that will sort of complete this flow. Anyways, what I was saying before is this is a relatively straightforward flow, right? There's only one agent, but when you're using Make.com, you can actually conditionally orchestrate multiple agents. So potentially, like depending on what output you're getting or what output you want, you might feed into different agents, right? Or you might even have, depending on the agent one's output, you then route to agent 2, you route to agent 3, you route to agent 4. So what I'm showing you today is actually really, really basic, but you can sort of take the basics that you've learned from this build and then sort of scale it up. So you can have an automation in Make.com that actually leverages multiple agents. But if you want to see something like that, just leave a comment below. If you have any questions around what I've got today as well, just leave a comment below. But I want to wrap up today and I'll see you in my next video.